7 betrayals you must not ignore from your avoidant partner. There is a kind of heartbreak that doesn't announce itself with shouting, accusations, or dramatic endings. It arrives quietly, slowly, almost invisibly, and that is exactly why it's so dangerous. If you have ever been in a relationship with an avoidant partner, you may have struggled to explain what felt wrong. From the outside, everything looked fine. They weren't openly cruel. They weren't obviously disloyal. Yet inside the relationship, you felt lonely, unsure, and emotionally disconnected. You felt like you were constantly reaching for someone who was just out of reach. That confusion is not accidental. Many of the deepest betrayals in avoidant relationships don't look like betrayal at all. They hide behind silence, distance, and emotional withdrawal. In this video, we're going to talk about 7 betrayals you must not ignore from an avoidant partner, not to blame or shame, but to help you finally see what you've been normalizing at your own expense. Betrayal 1, withdrawing emotionally when you need them. One of the earliest and most painful betrayals happens during moments when closeness is needed the most. When you are stressed, overwhelmed, grieving, or simply needing reassurance, an avoidant partner often pulls away. Instead of offering comfort, they become distant. They shut down. They go quiet or emotionally cold. At first, you may tell yourself they just don't know how to respond to emotions. But over time, a pattern forms. You learn that your pain creates distance, not connection. So you stop sharing. You stop leaning in. You begin handling everything alone while still being in a relationship. A partner disappearing emotionally during vulnerable moments is not neutrality. It is a betrayal of emotional safety. Betrayal 2, making you feel guilty for having normal emotional needs. Another subtle but damaging betrayal occurs when your emotional needs are framed as a problem. You want consistency, you want reassurance, you want to feel emotionally chosen. But instead of meeting those needs, the avoidant partner reacts as if you are asking for too much. You're labeled needy, demanding, or overly sensitive. Slowly, the focus shifts away from their emotional unavailability and onto your reaction to it. You begin to question yourself. You try to want less. You try to need less. You convince yourself that independence means emotional suppression. But needing connection in a relationship is not a flaw. When someone makes you feel ashamed for wanting closeness, they are betraying the very foundation of intimacy. Betrayal 3, inconsistency that keeps you emotionally off balance. Avoidant partners often give affection in unpredictable waves. One day they are warm, present, and deeply engaged. The next day they are distant, distracted, or unreachable. This inconsistency is not harmless. It keeps you emotionally hooked and constantly searching for stability. You replay conversations in your mind, wondering what changed. You try to adjust your behavior to bring back the version of them that once felt close. Over time, your nervous system stays in a state of alert. You never fully relax. Love becomes something you chase instead of something you rest in. Emotional inconsistency is a betrayal because it creates insecurity while making you feel responsible for fixing it. Betrayal 4, avoiding conflict instead of repairing the relationship. In healthy relationships, conflict leads to understanding and repair. In avoidant relationships, conflict often leads to silence. When issues arise, the avoidant partner withdraws, deflects, or shuts down communication entirely. Conversations feel unfinished. Problems linger. Emotional wounds remain open. You become the one trying to talk things through, explain your feelings, and reconnect. Meanwhile, they retreat further into distance. This imbalance slowly exhausts you. Conflict avoidance is often mistaken for calmness, but unresolved conflict creates emotional abandonment. Refusing to repair is not peace, it is disconnection. Betrayal 5, expecting loyalty without offering emotional availability. One of the most confusing betrayals is when an avoidant partner expects commitment, patience, and loyalty from you while remaining emotionally guarded themselves. They may resist labels, avoid future conversations, or keep parts of themselves inaccessible, yet still expect you to stay invested. This creates a one-sided dynamic where you give more while they risk less. You are emotionally exposed while they remain protected. A relationship cannot thrive on unequal vulnerability. Expecting devotion without emotional openness is not partnership. It is self-preservation at your expense. Betrayal 6. Rewriting the relationship to minimize their responsibility. Another deeply unsettling betrayal happens when an avoidant partner rewrites the emotional history of the relationship. They downplay past closeness, deny meaningful moments, or act confused about why you're hurt. You remember connection. They remember distance. This causes you to doubt your own reality. You start wondering if you imagined the bond, if you misread the signs, if you're overreacting. This isn't always intentional manipulation. It's emotional self-protection, but the effect is the same. When someone repeatedly invalidates your emotional experience, trust slowly erodes, not just in them, but in yourself. Betrayal 7. Choosing comfort over growth while the relationship fades. The final betrayal is often the most painful because it unfolds slowly. Avoidant partners may acknowledge issues on a surface level, but resist meaningful change. They understand the problem intellectually, yet their behavior remains the same. Meanwhile, you are doing the work, reflecting, learning, adjusting, and trying to grow together. Over time, the emotional gap widens. A relationship cannot survive if only one person evolves. Choosing emotional comfort over growth while watching the connection deteriorate is a betrayal of shared potential and future. What makes these betrayals so difficult to recognize is their quiet nature. Avoidant partners are often kind, functional, and reliable in practical ways. This makes it easy to excuse their emotional distance. You tell yourself they're stressed, busy, or simply wired differently. But understanding attachment styles does not mean accepting emotional neglect. Compassion without boundaries leads to self-betrayal. The longer these patterns continue, the more you pay the cost internally. You become anxious, hyper-aware, and emotionally exhausted. You start monitoring their moods, timing your needs, and silencing your truth. Over time, you lose confidence in your own feelings. The relationship doesn't end in chaos. It fades slowly, taking parts of you with it. Healing does not come from forcing an avoidant partner to change. It comes from clarity, from recognizing patterns without internalizing them. You can love someone and still accept that they cannot meet you emotionally. Awareness is power. And the moment you stop chasing emotional safety from someone who fears closeness, you begin restoring it within yourself. Not all avoidant partners intend to hurt you. Many are deeply disconnected from their own emotional needs. But love is not meant to feel like emotional endurance. Betrayal doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes it arrives as silence, distance, and the slow realization that you have been alone in a relationship for far too long. And the most important question isn't why they couldn't show up for you, but why you stayed when you were no longer being met.